Hey y'all, let's chat. So today I'm by myself. We're going to have a little intimate chat about what my life is, what I've been going through. I realized I haven't given you all a life update in a while, and I figured since 4 years ago, I did a video about my 4th year Singleversary. Now that we have clocked another 4 years, what better way to bring in some of my personal life than to kind of parallel those videos. There's a few things I want to touch on today with you all, though. The first thing I'm going to say is, I have spent 4 years at this point building my YouTube community. It's not the biggest, but I appreciate you all who tune in. And in regards to that, what I'm going to ask is for you all to engage with me more. Leave some comments. What's some topics y'all want to talk about? Something that stuck out for you in the video. I would really like to just get to know my YouTube community more. I know a lot about my Instagram community, a lot about my Twitter community. Still figuring out my TikTok community. I don't know if I've built up enough of a consistent following on there. I'm getting followers, but I don't know how engaged they are either. I don't have to tell. But I know some of you all who have hopefully been watching my videos for a long time are here. So talk to me, please. I just want to get to know y'all better. I want to know who's watching. And I want to know what you like and what you don't like about my channel. So I'm open to feedback, and I look forward to hearing it and engaging with you all a little bit more. Especially because sometimes I'll be on here putting y'all all in my business. So the least y'all could do is talk to a bitch, okay? So that's that. So it is just really crazy to think about the fact that I have been single for 8 years. I did not think that was going to be my story 4 years ago. And I definitely, sorry, I had an alarm that went off. Anyway, so yes, I didn't think that was going to be my story 4 years ago. And I definitely didn't think that was going to be my story when I had my last breakup. So to be here is interesting. I think the beautiful part about this time mark is that I have been in therapy just as long. So I have made my 8th year in therapy. And I know some people, especially being a therapist, are like, you're not supposed to be in therapy that long, whatever. I can be in therapy as long as I want to be in therapy, number one. Number two, people use therapy for different things, and that's a conversation I've had to have with clients over time. Is they're like, should I be in a different space? Should I still be seeing you? What should our sessions consist of? And I have to remind people it's really what they want to use it for. It's what you make of it. So my relationship with my therapist, I'm not seeing her every week. I haven't seen her every week for 8 years. I didn't even see her bi-weekly for 8 years. I want to say maybe over the last few years, I see her maybe once every 3 weeks, once a month. And I love that she hasn't given me that push out the door to be like, yeah, I don't think you need me no more. No, homegirl. And I have some clients who I'll bring up the conversation because sometimes people think it's awkward to break up with your therapist. And I'm like, well, I'm not kicking you out the door. I'm here as long as you want me to. But I just want to create the space for people to know, it's okay if you don't need me. But that more so comes up when you don't have much to talk about. I always come to therapy with something to talk about because, number one, I understand what it's like to be a therapist and have a client come to therapy with nothing to talk about. But I look at my therapy as my mental health maintenance, I go to therapy more than I go to any other doctor. And that's because my mind and my emotions, I feel are two of the biggest muscles that I have to tend to. And I think it's important for somebody who has seen me through some shit. And I think that's really what it is. It's the bond. It's the rapport. It's knowing you have a space of somebody who knows your history, who knows just kind of all the ups and downs of your life, all your wins, all your challenges, and being able to talk to them about where you are now and what you still struggle with. And I think when you've been in therapy as long as I've been, you come to realize that you don't you don't do everything at once, right? Like, there were things that I didn't deal with or discover, closets I didn't open up until maybe year 3, year 5. You know what I mean? Like, so when you stay in therapy, you give yourself a little bit more time to kind of deal with your shit. In a way in which, like, let's say, you go for a year. Great relationship. How deep did you get in that year? How far did you go? Because for me, I know that, like, especially when certain things bring you to therapy, right? Like, a breakup brought me to therapy. So the majority of maybe that first year was spent getting me over that breakup. I didn't have time to even, like, go and touch the other stones that had been unturned in my life. So over time, I've been able to do that. All of the things that I was scared to admit out loud, that I had never told anybody before, we've touched on a lot of that. But it took time for me to feel that comfortability, and that for me to feel comfortable being that vulnerable. And I'm glad that I stuck it out, and I absolutely love my therapist. So if you're in therapy and you're thinking about stopping, don't, unless, and I have the other videos about, how do you know you have the right therapist type thing, right? Unless it's a bad matchup. Or unless you just feel ready. Like, I'm okay with people. Go ahead and do what you need to do. But me and mine, I'm hoping that she sees me get through this 8-year or this long stretch of being single. I would love, like, it's almost like your parents. Like, I would love my parents to see me get married. I would love for my therapist to see me get into a healthy relationship. I would love that for her. But yeah, so this whole being single thing is something I've adjusted to. I'm not gonna lie, like, there aren't moments of loneliness, because there are. But I think when you're single this long, you start to have other concerns. Like, if I meet somebody and it starts to go there, am I going to be willing to make space for them in my life? And that goes back to, like, the video I did with Brian, where we were talking about, like, misalignment, and how the fact that, when you get into these relationships now at late 20s, 30 plus, you're doing life sometimes differently than the person you like. And it takes a lot of compromise to be able to mesh your life with somebody else's when it's been established for so long. So being that, like, I've been operating as this single woman for this extended period of time, how am I gonna be? Like, I'm curious what relationship Brittany looks like. I theorize about her all the time. Like, oh, relationship Brittany's gonna be this, and she can finally do this, and all these other things. But I don't really know what she looks like anymore. Like, the last relationship Brittany reference I have was at 23. I'm 30. So I have these questions that I ask myself. One thing that I feel like I have learned is sometimes I'm the drama, right? That's the other piece about being in therapy this long, is learning your own faults, and even realizing, like, I thought I learned from that shit, and then you turn around and, like, make the same mistake or do the same shit again. So it's been like that for some of my situationships, some of my dating, experiences. Like, meet a guy, finally, really like him. I feel like we're on the same page. And then, like, old, anxious Brittany just gets to creeping out. And it's like, girl, I thought we dealt with you. I thought you were done. But you don't really know how you're going to show up in certain situations relationally. Like, if you've actually been able to fix or heal something until you're back in that relational space. So I am really hoping that at this point I have been able to just gauge myself a little bit more, and I don't have an active hand in like ruining what's for me. Something else that's been very interesting about my dating life over the last, I want to say, year and a half, going into 2 years, is, and I don't think I've talked about this with you all before. I've talked about it with friends, but I feel like God has put me on a shelf. So I call 2022 the year of the first and last dates. I had a lot of, not a lot, I had a good amount of first dates, but nothing ever went anywhere. And that's the first time that's ever happened to me for a consistent span of time. And that is annoying. But I feel like it's necessary, right? So I used to call it like I used to say God put me on punishment. God put me on dating punishment. Because like I couldn't get nowhere with nobody. And that's just never happened before. Like we would go out, chat a little bit, nothing. And it's not that I wasn't trying. I feel like, some people don't admit that out loud. Like I think my frustration and some of my sadness comes from the fact that like I be trying. Sometimes I be over trying, right? To show interest, to show reciprocity. And these guys, they just don't give me nothing. Like, would they be phone calls, conversations, very basic stuff. I'm not asking for a lot. And that's what I think is so interesting when I have this whole like, why are you single conversation? At this point, I really don't know. I could tell you before why, certain things didn't work out, the role I played in it, how I may have pushed good guys away. But at this point, it's like, I'm not even getting into the section of the connection where I can fuck it up. So I don't know. But yeah, so the last year and a half, it just has been a bit of nothing. I get a lot of the same reasonings or excuses. It's like, oh, I'm just really focused on my work right now. Dating isn't really a priority for me. And what throws me off and what's confusing sometimes being on the end of that is like, I'll sit on these dates with men and they'll be like, yeah, I want to get married and I want to have kids and I want to settle down. And you're on a date with me. And not to say that has to be with me, right? But like, then you turn around after we've talked about all of this on the date and what you desire. But then you're not making room for that in your life. You're not making room to date. You're not making that a priority. So how do you think the other shit is gonna happen? Like, it's just, that's the part that throws me and I don't understand, because they sound so eager and excited about entering into that space. And it's like, these are 30 plus men that I'm talking to. So when do you think that's gonna happen? And that leads to another fear. Look, let me make sure I go back to my original point about God putting me on the show. But one of my other fears right now is that I am going to out age my male counterparts. We don't talk about that. I feel like, back in the day, men used to settle down around 30, right? They don't do that no more. Men aren't settling down, meaning preparing for marriage and shit like that. A lot of them aren't doing that until like 40. So as a woman at 40, my options to have kids obviously starts to decrease. And I feel like men who are in my age group know that, so they go and they date younger women. So I feel like I'm going to outage my male peers, which is scary because I don't want to really date younger, which means I would have to date older, right? And I don't mind dating older at this point. I think the oldest I would date is 40. I feel like I'm in that. I need to be dating 35 to 40-year-olds almost, to get to where I want and to hopefully be on the same page about what we want. it's just hard sometimes. Well, actually, look, I'm gonna take that back. I feel like now that I'm 30, I'm now more so in an age bracket with men who are still my emotional and intellectual equals as far as the type of guys I'm interested in. Before, let's say, a few years ago, or when I was in my mid-20s and we were talking about dating 40-year-olds, I'm like, no, them niggas too stuck in their ways. And it was like, what's the generation before millennials, with their Gen X, right? I was thinking about them type of guys who like are heavy R. Kelly supporters, who probably still got a little bit too much misogyny and patriarchy going, running through their veins. Like, I'm like, I don't know how much we have in common. Like, but now I think that it would be a little safer for me to date in that age bracket. Just again, I'm not expecting them men to be perfect, but just so to be like, for us to be on the same page about like where you are in your life. So that's the thought. So yes, back to my being put on a shelf thing. So yeah, I don't know what God has up his sleeve. Because people, when I talk to people about this, they're like, oh, it's just for you to do your work. Baby, the work has been done. And that's not to say that the work don't stop. But the majority, the meat and potatoes of the work has been done. That don't apply to me. I know that that's something people like to throw out there to the girls who want to be in relationships. Like, you just need to worry about yourself. That's been done. I feel like this signifies something bigger than that. Not that I need to focus on me. I have focused on me for 8 years. And I was never the type who was seeking like meaningless relationships. Maybe when I first had that last breakup and I was still in my mid-20s, but like around 26, shit got serious around here. I knew what I wanted and I was working towards that, or trying to meet people who were working towards that. I wasn't hoeing around. I wasn't sleeping with niggas. Like, I had a whole phase in college. I don't need to go back to doing that. But, yeah, so I feel like there is something larger at work. I'm praying that it is preparation for me and whoever I end up with. So I've just like at first when the first few months when I realized like I'm not getting anywhere with anybody. What the fuck is going on? Is it something in the air? I fought against it, but I've reached a place where I'm just embracing it. I am accepting that like this is where God wants me. And it's not that I'm just completely not trying to date. I actually one of my goals, whatever, this year. And for last year, actually, I think I said it last year and I refined it this year. It's like, I just wasn't going to force situations anymore. I'm not going to overdo it. I'm not going to overextend. I damn near was like, I'm not, because I used to be a shoot your shot girl. I didn't care like that. I feel like growing up, being a dark-skinned woman and seeing how easy it was for my light-skinned counterparts and friends, I became comfortable with shooting my shot at an early age, because it was like, if that's the type of guy you want, like you need to go after him, because you may not have the luxury that these light-skinned girls have for him to just walk up to you or to be pursued in that way. But I'm at a point in my life where I'm not doing that anymore. It has to be a very like extreme circumstance for me to do it. And when I say shoot, I mean just like let my interest be known. I'm not asking for numbers. Like if we could shoot the shit in the DMs all day. If you don't ask for my number, we're going to stay in those DMs. I'm not. I feel like in situations where I have tried to take the lead, knowing that I want a man who is a leader, it works against me. I feel like I'm constantly the one trying to cultivate shit, and I'm not doing that no more. So now it's like, until somebody wants to pursue me, I'm cool. So yeah, I've just kind of accepted that this is where he wants me. I also think that I've been gearing up for some really big goals. And when I date people, I get distracted. So I feel like he set me down from dating and like getting attached, to be like, yeah, no, you're not getting ready to fuck something off, especially money. I become a trick when I like niggas. And that's something else I wanted to share as a live update. So hopefully by this spring, summer, I will be acquiring an investment property. a building that hopefully I will also be, well, I will be living in. So y'all will say goodbye to the place I've been for the last 8 years, and definitely saying goodbye to this couch. I'm getting new furniture. But the last year I have spent financially preparing for that, saving all of my little coins. And if I was like actively dating somebody that I liked, I probably would have spent some of that money, especially knowing I had it. Oh, I would have been dumb. So that's one way for me to look at it. And I just needed to focus on that. I needed to, like I said, I'm in this space where like sometimes I lose boundaries when I start dating somebody. I don't want to do that, but I feel like I have the tendency to do that. So it was like, to avoid all of that, you're gonna sit down this season, as well as be careful what you pray for and what you ask for. I don't know if you saw or remember, but a while ago, I was probably a dating pool has pee in it video. I was talking about right after my 29th birthday. I had been talking to somebody. I was really excited about it. Shit went left. It was my fault. And I was really hurt by that. And I did a lot of praying that was like, look, if you're not going to pair me with my husband, I don't want to do this shit no more. I'm tired of like having my feelings hurt and my heart broken. I don't want to do this anymore if I'm not going to be fully accepted by the person or the people that you're bringing into my life. That I'm not going to be given, because I felt like I wasn't given like, I messed up, but I felt like I wasn't given like some grace, you know? So after him, that's when shit went radio silent on the dating tip. And I was like, you know, thinking other than, well, you did ask God to like spare you. You asked him for that. So don't be pissy now that. So yeah, I mean, 2022 was a very peaceful year because I didn't have nobody's son stressing me out. So any ladies who have gone spans of time not dating, I will say that's the biggest perk, okay? You be focused, you be on your shit. You be out of your feelings a lot. Well, sometimes like I said, you get a little lonely, so sometimes you be in your feelings just a little bit. But it's just a different level of peace when it's just all about you. So yeah, I've just accepted that this is where I'm at, and hopefully new things are on the horizon. So yes, like I said, I'll be bound to build it. I'm very excited and anxious and nervous about that. I'll be vlogging that journey, so hopefully if anybody's interested, again, another space for you to ask questions and all that other shit that I keep asking that I want y'all to do. Like, I don't just put like, comment, share at the bottom of this for no reason. Like, talk to me, engage. So yes, what else do I have in here to discuss? So as we know, I've been involuntarily celibate because I have not had success while dating, right? If I can't build connections long enough for us to like get anywhere, we can't have sex. And that's just what it's been. I'm not purposely choosing not to have sex. I am purposely choosing not to have, I was going to say casual sex, but let me put it this way. So like, I'm choosing not to jump the gun. So let's say I go out with a guy, we have a great time or whatever. I'm not rushing into the whole like come over or I come to your place. Like, I'm intentional about that. Because once you don't have sex for as long as I have not had sex, you start to kind of protect it again. Well, I don't know about y'all. I used to protect my virginity with the life of me. So I started like, it's like I'm back in that mindset of like, this cooch got to be ironed. So, and it's not a lot to earn it. It's just being consistent. Like, just don't be a weirdo. Don't act like, I understand all men want sex. They do. And I ain't saying I ain't gonna give it to them. I'm just saying, can we get to know each other for a little bit? So yeah, me and Rose, my toy, we've been bonded up. And when people ask me like, how long has it been? It's so hard for me to say because I be wanting to cheat the system, right? So what happened was in 2020 to 2021, I went a year. That was my first full year. But then I had sex one time. One time. I don't think that counts. So I had sex one time. And then, after that one time, I went another year. So that was 2021 to 2022. It's always my birthday that's damn near the anniversary. Not my birthday, but the month, like August, September-ish. So I went another year. So if I don't count that one time, technically I was on year 2. And here we are entering, so August, September-ish this year would be year 3. Yeah, I mean, I have more feelings about the whole, like, not dating thing than I do about the not having sex thing. Like, it's kind of like, it just is what it is. I'm curious how that's going to show up in my next relationship, if it ever comes, though, because I've just gotten used to not doing it. So I'm curious what my libido is going to be like. I'm curious how that's going to align with my partners. And I don't know what that's gonna look like. I'm praying for a very patient man, so hopefully we figure that out. Cause I enjoy sex, I like sex, but I don't know what it's like when you've gone this span of time without engaging in it. So there's that. I'm at a point where I'm questioning this whole kid thing, because I talked about like aging out my partners, but like I think every woman wants the option. Like, of course, I'm not signing up to be a single mom. I'm not doing that. So I have to have a ring on my finger. But I wouldn't necessarily be mad if I met a man who said he didn't want kids. Like, I've come to like take or leave kids. And not just because of the biology part of it. Like the pregnancy, all of that sounds beautiful, but also like because people have been more open on social media about what all of that entails, it's kind of scary. So that's scary, as well as the climate in which we are raising kids today. It's concerning. It's concerning. And parenting, like, I think the older you get, the more you realize how serious parenting is. Like, it's kind of like driving. Like they say, when we learn to drive when we're young, it's easier because we're a bit more risky, right? Like, we aren't as aware of all the dangers and shit around us. We just kind of get in it and do it. And I feel like it's the same thing with being like a younger parent. Like, you don't really know what you're signing up for. You just doing it and then you throwing it into it and then you figure it out. But as an adult making the conscious decision to have a child, you are just so much more hyper aware of like all of the ins and outs, like the school system and social media and how influenced these kids are by TikToks and mental health. And like, it's a lot. And I'll be damned if I don't do it with somebody who wants to be just as much of an active parent. So it's like, I could take a leave kids right now. That's just my honest truth. Something else that I'm doing in relation to my dating life that I think is important is, we have a lot of conversations around like, oh, like it's just not that many good men out there. I'm not affirming that anymore. I've started to manifest and affirm that there are an abundance of great men out there. And not only for me, but for my single homegirls too, because that's, I think, the easy part about like being single this long is like I have friends who have kind of been single just as long. So I'm not the only one struggling. Like when you're not the only one who failed the test, like everybody else in this bitch got F's too. Like I think it'd be different if I was surrounded by a bunch of women who were like married and settled down and stuff. And so I'm wishing all of that on me and my homegirls. So I'm not manifesting that there is this rare one man out there. I'm manifesting that there is a good bunch of them. And they are coming for me and my girls because we deserve. So yeah, I want, I challenge other people to get at that mindset of just like, we see a lot of the not so good about men in relationships being broadcasted, and I want to challenge that. Which leads me into my next point. Child, I have concerns about the dating climate due to social media. I feel like pages like, I mean, and I understand Justin LA Boy, he steals tweets from people. So people are actually saying these things. But like to put all the toxic tweets on one platform and spiritual world, they are single-handedly ruining millennial dating and dating to come. I have a theory about what I believe has been happening. I feel like people on social media internalize and consume so much of this separation toxic content that they are sometimes like people are internalizing trauma that isn't theirs. So let me give you an example. I'm not the girl who can say I've been cheated on, right? If I was cheated on, I didn't fucking know. So I don't have that as relationship trauma. But let's say because online I'm consuming so much content about women who talk about being cheated on, that I start to perpetuate narratives online about being cheated on. Oh my God, these niggas be cheating and you can't trust them, right? That's never directly happened to me. But I'm online perpetuating that and sharing those messages and speaking like it has directly affected me and happened to me. I have internalized other people's relationship trauma. And now I'm spewing that. And that's what I feel like is kind of happening with some of these men about this whole like being taken advantage of, gold digger, city girl, hot girl like era. Like y'all see men who talk about, who may disclose the fact that they have been taken advantage of. Or you see women talking, saying bird ass shit about dating and what they expect. And you ain't never even directly been through that. I really believe that some of these men, you ain't been used or you haven't been in a situation to feel like you've been used. You're internalizing and consuming all of this stuff that you're reading and seeing. So now you go back and you spew that rhetoric. But that's not even your direct experience. So I feel like that's happening a lot. And it's not creating forward-thinking conversations about dating for Black men and Black women in 2023. Which leads into my next point. So since I started doing the whole podcast and shit, right? Like tonight's conversations, since I started doing more podcasts, I've been following more podcasts, or I've been like following people that I've met through that. And I have discovered a side of social media that I did not know existed, and I wish I didn't know about it. There is, and this is also, I have to be more selective about whose podcast I do, because some people's podcasts attract a certain, they on social media, they call it the manosphere. I'm learning all these words. I didn't know about this shit before. But they attract a certain population of men. Men who have empty profiles or who have profiles who do not have pictures of them. Fake pages with 0 pictures, with a cartoon in the circle, or like men who you go to their pages and they're like either butt ass ugly or older or just they all look it's all a theme. You don't go to these pages and see normal, well-adjusted men who have shit going for themselves, or in their life. Or you don't go to these pages and see men who don't have an issue attracting women. So, yes, I've come to find out that this population of people exists on social media, and their main goal is not to understand, not to have constructive conversations. It's to degrade women. It is to perpetuate like mommy issues. It is to, I don't know, I guess make themselves feel better about not being picked by women. That's what I pick up. Like, cause they be all in the comments like, this is why, I just stay to myself, or like this whole passport bros. This is why, I'm just gonna go overseas. Okay. But yes, I didn't know they existed, and now that I know that they exist, I had to like switch up how I was digesting um social media. Like I have to, especially now that I'm being featured on more shit, I can't be in comment sections. I can't. Um because I have to sit and decipher like who is commenting out of genuine like wanting to understand, or for us to have dialogue and maybe get them to understand my point of view, versus like it don't matter what you say, you could be as right as you want to be, but because I am a woman, they are going to be rude and nasty. You know, I have been called like or referred to as anything but a child of God in some of these comments, like, and yeah, if you go, I don't know. If and now they're seeping more into blogs and shit too. So again, if you go to a Justin LA Boy or a Spiritual World, you will see bits and pieces of this. But these like male ran podcasts, oh, they really be in them comments. So just if you're curious about what I'm describing, you're gonna see it. I'm not gonna name drop anybody's podcast, but they be in there in their bio. And so yeah, I'm just stuff like that, because those aren't the type of guys that people want to date anyway. I'm not really worried about them. I just think that it's going to it seems a little harder to just find men who are emotionally and mentally sound. So what I do to counteract that, because like of course I'm limiting my intake as far as what type of comments I'm reading. I'm definitely not responding or saying shit no more. But I will sit and like kind of read or whatever. But I'm counteracting that with finding some really great male profiles who are progressive, who understand where women be coming from. And not to say that all women are right? Like, but just who understand that the birds that get interviewed on these platforms do not speak for all of us. That shit is frustrating. And I just did a segment with the Daily Wrap Up Crew podcast. It streams on YouTube. You can go check it out. But I got on them, like I had to bring that to the forefront. I'm like, bro, y'all sit and y'all say, y'all women feel this way. Y'all women be doing this. Y'all women be doing that. Who? Because me and a big chunk of us don't do that. And I'm not talking about just the people that I know directly. I'm speaking on a lot of women who are not birds. And I'm like, y'all sit, like I said, niggas interview these women. And that's no shade. Like, some women are birds. Like, like, it's a tweet that be going around like, I do not support all women. Some of you bitches are very dumb. I feel that. Because, like, whether they believe that shit or not, they know what goes viral. And these platforms know what goes viral. So that's the type of shit that they post. They're not posting this healthy shit, which is like why content creation, podcasting, YouTube, and all of that is so hard, because the toxic shit goes viral. The healthy shit does not. People don't engage with it as much. That's just the reality of it. You can check my numbers on here. I talk about sex and threesomes, numbers go up. I'm talking about mental health, barely any views. Like, that shit is sad, but that's how it is. So that's why this like crazy shit that is unbelievable and said for shock value is constantly circulating. I don't even remember what my original point was, but it get on my nerves. But anyway, like, yes. So we're all getting categorized as like the birds, and that most women think that way, when I truly don't believe that that is the case. So yes, I like following men. I found a few good men. This phone don't have no Wi-Fi, so I can't tell you they ads, but I'll put the information in here. A few good men who I like to follow, who just they be going to war with the misogynists and the sexists, and I appreciate men like that, because it's not that like certain shit be common sense. And they will find like the other type of men I was talking about, they will find any and every way to like refute what a common sense is. Or the fact that like you could just have an opinion. I was on somebody's podcast, and it's a clip on my page where I was talking about like dick size matters to me. And if you don't have the right equipment, like be willing to work with your lady, use toys, all this other stuff. Baby, they was in them comments saying that my coochie was the size of a hospital hallway. Like, I can't even have real conversations with you all, because you're very unserious. Very unserious. Yeah. So, very nasty work, and I don't like it. So that's why I'm being a bit more selective about whose podcasts I do. Because if your podcast attract people like that, and like majority people like that, like that podcast, I don't know what's in their water or who's in their followers, but like that was bizarre. I usually you see a mix of comments, right? People saying smart shit and people saying dumb shit. It was a lot of dumb shit. I don't want no parts of that. This whole like masculine and feminine argument is driving us apart. That wasn't a thing until maybe the last year. I think, and that is what is crazy. It wasn't until women started a soft life, soft girl era movement that now so many men have something to say about women being masculine. That's another thing that I constantly see in comment sections. It's like a woman could be talking and she expressing herself and using her hands, and it'll be comments like she doesn't even see how masculine she is. What is wrong with them? Like, what? I don't understand. I don't understand. So now we can't talk with our hands. And I talk with my hands all the time. So now it's like, I have to be hyper aware. Am I being too fucking masculine? Like, bro, I don't have time for that. Especially as a woman from Chicago, where we already have this natural edge about us, bro. I can't. But then it's like the messages are so conflicting. Because if you're independent, or you're proud of being independent, then you're too masculine. But if you play damsel in distress and you don't have shit to bring to the table but your looks, you're a gold digging hoe. So which is it? But that's what I'm saying. Only these conversations happen on social media. These conversations, like, I don't be having these conversations with men in real life. And that's what I be having to remember. It's like, girl, you do not even have these conversations with men in real life. Because they don't matter. They don't. So, yeah, separating social media from real life has been a big task that I'm focused on, and making sure that I stay grounded. And I don't feel like I have to censor my opinions because of what the masses are going to say. Because this is what got me here, So, yeah, so as far as like what's next for me, we finna do this building. Y'all please pray or manifest whatever your thing is, like that this goes smoothly for me, because I'm shitting my pants thinking about it. I have a new little baby coming out. These t-shirts. Wait till I tell my therapist. We have some tweaks to make. This is gonna be a little smaller. It's a little big. So I'm working with my brother on that project. But I'm really excited about this just because I want this shirt to represent people who are proud about being in therapy. Like, this is how we normalize therapy. This is how we destigmatize it. It's just making it a thing to talk about. So us being able to casually say, like, girl, where's I tell my therapist? Is letting it be known, like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's normal now. Well, it should be. And it's something that you should be doing. So you want to look out for these. I might have another book up my sleeve, but I do like big projects one at a time. So like my main thing right now is this building. So after I do the building and I get situated with that and my lifestyle in that, I feel like I can turn my wheels to something else big, which would be like potentially another book. And this one will be relationship focused ish, but like I'm thinking for women. Like I'm thinking I want to use my experience thus far to kind of talk through some things that we should know and be prepared for and learn from. So that's another floating idea. And my other big thing that I'm really manifesting that I want this year, I want to be on TV. And not on some, ego-driven shit. But I just feel like I got a lot to offer the world. And I'm meant to be a star. No. Because I don't want the popularity and shit. Like, that's going to be a whole adjustment if I ever do end up on fucking TV. But yeah, I just feel like I was meant for the big screen. and not to ask. I want to either do reality TV like dating show, or I want to be featured in the professional capacity as like expert, therapist. Like I want to do that. And I don't know if we talked about this before, but I was a little close to one of those opportunities a while back. That show never even dropped. So basically, for those of you who don't know, I had got reached out by this casting person, verified it was legit, right? Went through to do like this whole interview. I had to get dolled up. Like the lady had to ask me questions. She was recording it. They send it to people, whatever. And it was just supposed to be like they was supposed to pick one woman. It was supposed to be start in Chicago. One woman from Chicago, who has great life, dating, missing love in her life type of trope. I don't know what ended up happening to that show, because basically after a few weeks of not hearing anything and talking with my casting person, I'm like, okay, I obviously didn't get it. But I saw that they started to expand outside of Chicago. So I'm like, damn, Chicago ain't got no material for y'all? Like, y'all being picky. So they expanded outside of Chicago. And then nothing ever came out. And I thought the name of the show was Love in 2022. So you would have thought it was supposed to be released last year. I don't know. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened with that, but I stay connected with that casting lady because she really legit feels like I need to be on TV. And I agree. So after I talked to her maybe 2 days ago, she was saying like it's a little slow right now on like the new production tip, but she would look out and send me some stuff. So yeah, I'm manifesting it this year. I'm gonna be on TV in some capacity. Don't know which one, but I am. And I'm looking forward to that because more people need to tap in with the girl, I feel like, especially like, if they could help me get some suitors, because that's what I feel like I'm missing. I'm so tired of dating in Chicago. But I don't want to move. Like, I feel like if I move to a new city, dating would be so exciting for me. Because it's just fresh meat. It's more to explore. I'm fresh meat. They fresh meat to me. Like, going somewhere like Houston, Dallas, like, ugh. I feel like I would really thrive, but I can't leave. Not doing that. And I mean, I feel like sometimes it's just, you end up running into the same problems, different places, and that would really blow me. But yeah, I think I'm just tired of these options. So I want to do something different. Like, at this point, if Married at First Sight come back to Chicago, sign me up. Because I ain't got nothing to lose. And if any men are lurking in the shadows, like, thinking I'm just going to be available forever, they got another thing coming. I can't wait for that day. Because that's the ego part. It's like, put me on the day to show all of these men who was playing about me that I am a catch, and he tweaked. Yeah, that's my inner ego talking. Excuse that. But that's it, y'all. That's my life update. Hope I understand some of you all should be able to relate to my struggles, and we're gonna figure this thing out together. What's most important to me is just to be self-assured, to be confident, to accept my flaws because I still have them. But also not keep making the same mistakes, learning, getting better, and coming after everything that's mad. Okay. So I hope you all have a good rest of your day.